Hi guys. Bill, JB, hope you got your phone working, Bill. Stephen Lane, g'day. 624 Dudley, hello. Russell Dole, good morning. Good evening. Jim Minnick, g'day. Mark Osborne, good evening. Stuart, good evening. Craig, good evening. Mark from Cornwall, good day. David Ian Six, good morning. Peter Noddle, g'day. Here I am. I hope you got me. I hope you can hear me, all that sort of stuff. Don't do that to me. Some good videos coming out. Metal Shop with Tony. Oh, Troy. Metal Shop with Troy. G'day. It's from Rusty Knox on making a mini shaper that's going to be really nice. Pretty excited about that. And we're waiting for the third video, but go and check that out. That's really good. One CNC videos, a series from Machine NZ. Check them out too. And Kevin. It's evening here. Don't know if there's really much to share, to be honest. As promised, the Toolfest 2021 video coming out this week. I guess you all saw that. I look old. Not really good. Like, I hate doing talking head videos because I always feel I don't leave long enough between them, and I noticed that I get old. Anyway, Dan Shed, there's a video update from Dan Shed. I hope everyone's seen that. Expecting more. Paul's House evening. My life is made up of small pile of screws, like these ones. And if we move this tender forward, those ones. And small piles of rivets. There we go. So that's what I've been up to. Much the same. I don't know if you can actually see any progress here, but I'd like to think they were. I had 2 days off today and this weekend, and there's a gap between them. I went back to work on Monday, so it was Sunday and Tuesday. Most of Sunday I spent messing around making an awful video for Toolfest 2021. Go and check it out. Hope to see all your entries. I'm on the squeaky chair again. There's Maddie. G'day, Maddie. Rivets like these, Kevin. So these nice 2 straight rows of rivets. It's deceiving. But there you go. No specific hour. I reckon the 24-hour period's close enough for us, Knox. Michael, I think probably if you can aim to within 24 hours on that date, that'll be good enough. We got too much confusion last time I tried to get closer than that. Just post them. Maddie's flat out busy. Any Toolfest 2021 questions, shoot them off and we'll try not to miss them. I'm sure there's 1,000 because I didn't explain it particularly well. Not a confident videographer at the moment. We didn't get any rain here, but we're a bit further north, like, 1,800 kilometres. So, Maddie, that sounds about how you're going. Fair enough. There's orange glasses over there for the laser cutter. Laser safety, sort of. They're pretty crap, those ones. I've got a darker pair that are better. I really need to put a surround on the laser cutter. There's still jobs to do on that, and I just haven't got to it. Dan was asleep in front of the Paralympics, so I guess he's alive. Different Dan. So that Dan's, yeah, he was asleep in front of the Paralympics, but he's probably awake now. So I've got to get this sorted, JB. That's something I've got to do. And what else I've got to do? Probably going to get the stuff and work out what shape it's got to be and get work to laser cut it, and then, because my cutter's not up to it, and fold it up into a box and make a 3D printed bracket to screw it on. That's where I'm at. Yeah, Toolfest 2021, you should totally mention it. So that's where we're at. I spent all weekend messing with this thing, and I've got another 3 weekends in it probably, I think, to get this tank up to where it wants to be. We'll move in a bit closer, perhaps. It's junky everywhere, sorry. So this lid just sits in here at the moment. We have a lid that's probably going to be hinged over the back at some point, because I really can't really hinge it that way. And there's holes here for what's going to be mostly cosmetic, but actual functioning vents for the tank. Reason it had vents is that most of them were fitted with a water scoop, so they have little caps on them and a flange at the bottom. So if you're filling up the tank in a hurry from the bottom, then you needed the air to go somewhere, so there's a vent each side. So that means we can't really tip it. Well, we probably nearly can tip it that way. We'll put the vents in first, and if we can tip it that way, we certainly will. But I think it's going to be tipped this way, like such, with a hinge off the back gate, which is sort of okay. Anyway, I don't want lids that are loose. That's where I'm at. I don't want lids that are going to get lost. Will it be painted? Yeah, black with red stripes and British rail lining, I think, or LMS, or I haven't decided. Maybe red. Caledonian Railway blue. I don't know. I really don't know. You idiots. So, this lid lifts out still. So, look at that. Looks like it's meant to be in there. How hot's that? I've actually soft soldered this, which I'm really pleased with this job. So I'm going to soft solder the rest of it as well, and I'm a bit more confident about it now I've done this, haven't buckled it. But magnet's not a bad idea, Fridge. Hey, John. Nice indicator from John Creasy on social media this week. Maybe we'll see a video. We might not too, but I hope we do. Before Toolfest 2021, which is coming up. We might just get lucky and a magnet might actually, like, hold that. That might be a good idea, but we'll see. Anyway, so this has got another plate riveted underneath here, and I've soft soldered it all around there, so we just sweated it. Nice. This lifts out. It won't when there's all these screws in here. These are countersunk screws all through to here, and they all line up and look, sit flush and not too crooked or anything. I'm really pleased about that. All the way down here, and around the front and up the other side. And these ones will be round head at this point, sort of to match the rivet. So, and if we've got to, we can still take that out. Got all these on. This is a scary, rotten job actually. I'm glad this is over. No video, John says. This is a rotten job here. Getting all this so that that sheet with the bends in it sits down flush on here, and the bends are all right, and they haven't got too many double bends in them and things like that. This sheet fits around this corner here, which I really like. I'm a bit impressed with that. It fits around there nicely and screws across the front. Now, I've marked this here with, I don't know, you can probably nearly see the two scribe marks on there. There's an angle bracket goes around here, the same as this, up the side. And then the top, the front piece with the doors on it, or whatever's going to have, or a toolbox or whatever, will sit on there for cosmetics when it's on display, and you lift it off to use it because you can't shovel in under there. The same problem they had with the real one is that you couldn't shovel in from out the front, so they changed them. Oh, that's pretty awful. 2 ceilings down is not fun. I hope that gets sorted, Mike. That's not good. So I've got to fix these this weekend. Put those brackets in at least so we can start making the front piece. What else? There's a edge beading goes along here on the outside. I have mostly good neighbours too, I think. So it goes around the outside here and along here and down the other side. That's going to be fun. Still undecided about what we're going to do with that, but it's got to be sort of riveted on and then soft soldered. Now, I didn't show my metal brake. It's pretty ordinary, but how not to buy a metal brake? I'd like something better, but we might have a look at it in a minute. See how we go for time. So that's the lid. That's about all I got done this weekend, was some work on the lid. How nice is that joint? If we can get them all looking that good, I'd be pretty happy. Pretty happy with that for soldered joint. No edge beading made as yet. We'll get there at some point. So if we can carry on like that, we'll be pretty happy. I just realised it would have been much nicer if I'd continued these rivets up here and made them fake, so that it looks like it's riveted up the sides too from the inside, but I never, so it's too late. It's probably not, but it's a bit of a pain to do them now. So this is riveted from the inside and sort of soldered, corked, all that sort of stuff. So that's the lid. All these screws here now line up. Nice and square and easy. Look at all those holes. We've got to put all those screws in. Not fun, but they all line up. So that was another project. Basically, it's a matter of screwing this down and corking it when we get to there, but we've got to put this edge on here first. And thanks, Mike. Hope you're doing all right though. And yeah, this is a crazy amount of work in this. Just really wanted to kind of make that impression on anyone who thought they were going to wait until they retired to build one. Don't do it. Just do it now. Start into it. Not looking at anyone in particular, but you guys all know who you are. Get into it now. Don't leave it another month. And there's a lot of dollars in it too, but we get that. So from there, this has got another fake floor in here, like the prototype, the same as the locomotive does. So the floor level is actually just spilt bolts here everywhere. The floor level's about here somewhere. So there's another floor level goes in here with a couple of supports in here. So I've got to get onto all that. And then, never too late, Paul, but expect someone else to finish it or make something small. There's on this side, there's a brake handle here. There's a water scoop handle on here, or there should be, but I'm not even going to put a fake one, I don't think. We'll see how we go. This piece sits in here and hangs over the front a fraction to give it a ledge, and then there's a piece of angle behind it to stop it moving forward. So that sits between that piece of angle on the back and this piece here, I think. That's what I've designed. And probably the earlier Fowler tender just had a full-length toolbox here, and maybe that's what it'll get, is just a metal toolbox with a lift-up lid. The later one had full-size doors through here, high doors with opening doors and a toolbox each side. I don't know if we're going to go to that much trouble. So there we go, they're forewarned. So that's the work to still be done on this. Right, and from there, if we lift this off, right, we have two more holes here, one for the pipe for a return and one for the water feed. This one's got a filter on it, and this one I think's just got a swan neck round so that it doesn't squirt up in the air. It actually pumps back down onto the... So that's where we're going with that. I've put 4 screw down bolts in here, countersunk brass screws go in the front here, 2 in the back and 2 in the back and 2 in the front to hold this down, right? And I've done some modifications here because when I did it, I put 4, I think 5BA steel bolts in here, one here, one here, one here, and one back here, which is okay to hold this in place. So however, it's overkill, and what you find is that when we put steps on here, which go in this gap here between this angle and the frame here, there's steps come down here with 2 steps on them and a bit of a curve. for each end, which has to go on next before we bolt the tank down. Can't get to these bolts in the end, so if you have a look, actually spent an hour yesterday blocking these up. Can't see them now, no bolts, so we've just got 2 in the middle, 2 each end. That's plenty, so there we go. Still got to put 3 bolt holes in here for spring hangers, or for brake hangers. It's still got to go in here at some point, so that's another job that we've got to do at some point. It probably, when I pull this down again, if I do, that'll probably be done then. So there we go. Also got to put another bracket in here for a coupling plate to the locomotive. Also, there's some pipe work. There's 3 pipes. There's a hand pump delivery pipe comes through to the front here, and there's a delivery pipe from the axle pump, which is suction, no pressure in it really, comes through as well. And there's a return pipe, which is pressure, I guess. Well, there's no pressure because it's open end, but yes. So we've got 3 pipes on the front here as well. So this is one of those jobs that feels like it's never ended. Something to wake up nightmares, something to keep you awake is more like it. This thing's crazy. So that's where we're at. This is pretty crazy project all up. This pump here, I guess everyone's seen that, goes here somewhere, so that sits on there like that and accesses through that back opening, which is why it's a big square opening, not just a little round opening. Anyway, that's where we're at. Sorry about the squeaky chair, but that's kind of where we're at with the brass work. It's starting to look like something, but there's some jobs that I've been putting off. Absolutely. Something's not sitting down there properly. Yeah, the wrong side of the frame. There we go, that sits in there nice. And then this one goes on here like this. And this one, I'm going to say, have a look at that joint there. It's really nice. Anyway, this one goes in there like that with lots more screws. So there's about 300 and something screws in there. That's kind of how we are. There's not a whole lot of other detail. I've got the handrail holes here and here for little handrails to go on here. Bit of work in the front. We've got to make something here in a toolbox and some little hinges and stuff. There's a bit of work in that. Probably it's not going to get polished. It's going to get a coat of decent undercoat and a coat of decent black paint. That's where we're at with it. Oh, Maddie, you poor thing. But you can't, this is smooth. You can't actually feel this through here where the silver's, or where the soft solder's impregnated the brass. So it's nice and clean. Decent edge primer and a coat of paint at some point. But probably not for a little while. So I've got an extra day this week, which means I've got Friday because it's a public holiday, and then I've got Sunday and Tuesday. So probably by the time you see that, there's going to be a lot of little jobs done on this. We might try and get some steps on and some edging on. And those two little brackets in the front. And maybe we could get a hinge on it as well on this back piece here if we work it out, and some vents. I really want to put some vents on first. And then we can sort of sweat it all together and have a waterproof tank, I hope. Is it on cheaper, better option than brass? Probably not, to be honest. It's got to have water in it. And it's one of the nature of the thing is that, yes, it'd be really awesome that it was dry when you put it away, but it's probably never going to be completely. You do it from stainless, but it's certainly not cheaper or easier or better I mean, I'd hate to build this out of stainless. It'd be crazy, and aluminium won't solder. And stainless dissipates a lot more heat probably, so you're going to end up with buckles trying to solder it. So brass is probably, to be honest, the way forward. But it's done now anyway. And there's probably the screws in this cost more than the brass, if we're going to go there. Screws and rivets in this, there's more dollars in screws and rivets than brass. But it's coming together. I'm really pleased with it. This top one here, where it comes up the back here, where this sheet sits in here and comes up the back, it's going to have the same arch as the front one. So the same curve in here as the back one. And you can pick up brass at bargain prices on eBay if you keep an eye out for it. And I've been collecting these up for years. Copper pipe. Let's have a look at the boiler code, eh? So this is coming together. It's a crazy job, and another month maybe I'm going to have a tender that's going to sort of be half looking like it's finished, and then we can move on to the boiler. That's the next bit. I'm going to put this out of the way. In the same vein as we've been talking, certain YouTube creator believes in this, and I'm sort of the same sort of mindset. Just do it. Hey, John. So, see this book? This is it. This is where it is. Can't get to find it online. You won't find a cheap copy online because the copyright on the thing's guarded, and it's a small community, and you've got to actually buy the book. And there's several places you can buy the book. But this is the Australian Miniature Boiler Safety Committee Code. Part 1, there's 4 parts to it. I've got several of them. Never built a steel boiler, so I don't have that bit, but I've got a few of these. This is the book on copper boilers. Thanks, Craig. It's fairly comprehensive. Like, it's got lots of crap in it. It's got types of metal and all the copper codes. If you're going to get certified, you've really got to stick to that, know what you're getting. Brazing alloys, bronze and gunmetal, caulking materials, etc, etc, etc. We'll move on to design. So what do we got? There's a question from, what type of copper is suitable for a steam boiler? 80mm diameter. Nominal barrel and plate thickness with 16 gauge, which is normal seam copper pipe, which is a bit of a problem for boilers. You get something without a seam is probably better, but this is for vessels not subject to cyclic stresses, so gas tanks, I guess, and air compressor tanks. I don't know what else. And this is for those that are, so heating and cooling and stuff like that. So 80mm, 50 to 96, 1.6 is suitable up to 80 psi with the right, so 550 kPa, it's 80 psi with the right stays and things in it. So that sort of copper tube, that's the sort of pressure you're probably going to get out of an 80 psi tube if you stay it properly and put some tubes in it and decent ends in it and put ends in it is good. That's what's safe. This has got like a crap load about stays and end plates and everything else. Bushes, domes, superheaters, lap joints and brazed and silver soldered joints and the butt joints and lap joints and so forth for barrels, safety valve design, washout plugs, and appendixes on all the above over here somewhere. All the New Zealand societies that use this actual system, and the Australian ones will be here too. There'll be pages of those. Probably should go through and chase all them up and see who has a 3.5 inch gauge track that's closer than the Queensland Society of Modelling and Experimental Engineers, which is like miles away. Blondie Hacks had a bit of trouble with the copper boiler. Yes, she's trying too much at once. She just hasn't got the heat to heat the whole thing up. The boiler's too big for the deck thing that she used. She'll get it right, but the reality is that if she'd soldered one end in and pickled it and then put the rest together and soldered the other end and pickled it and then put the tubes in and pickled them, she might have had some success, but she's just pushing the boundaries a bit with that. So anyway, that's the boiler code. That's what it looks like. Difference between, or spacing between tubes and all that sort of stuff. I've studied it until I'm sort of saturated with it. But anyway. If you can find it online, that's good, but I'm not sure you will. I never had much luck with it, so I just basically I just bought it. But if you want to know anything, I'm happy to screenshot it. That's cool. So there we go. That's the chaos that is building a 3.5-inch gauge locomotive. You did pretty well in a weekend, because that's Russell. That's a mammoth job. Hang on, I'll just set up the bending brake. The person you should be asking about boilers is probably that Dan Shegg guy. So we're going over here, and I've got bare feet, which isn't really good in the workshop. This is what I've got. I'm probably going to put you down, because now I've stood up, I really need to pee, so I'm going to be back. Just talk amongst yourself. Mention Toolfest 2021. I'll be back. Sorry guys, I'm back. In full disclosure, UTI, you can Google that if you like, but it's killing me this week. We'll get better soon. Don't have anywhere over here. I had every intention of getting somewhere over here to sort of set this up. This machine's done a fair bit of work, as you can probably see. It needs some love. But I have this little break. It's missing the jaw. It's there on the bench. I should put it back in. It's fairly useful to take it out sometimes and then discover that you still can't get the part in there. It's just on a cam, so it's pretty straightforward. It has some limitations. Don't buy one of these for model work. For one, is that you get a shadow line there even with the light on. And you see I've got a light right there over my vise for this because before I had problems. But even with this you get a shadow line. So you can't really see where you're actually lining up the line without a lot of messing around. This light should be out this way a bit more. Poor thing, could do with a wipe down. Also, it won't bend anything closer than basically the width of this V. So the problem being is that you can't bend a bit of sheet less than about 6 or 8 millimeters from the edge. So that's a bit of a problem with it. Okay, Dan's listening to some pretty ordinary, interesting sort of stuff in there. She was obviously, yeah, who knows. So this bender could do with some work. It could also do with some mods. Ideally a brake press would be really nice for the sort of work I do. This is good for bending heavy sheet metal in short bits. Yeah, I got antibiotics now. Thanks, Troy. I'll be okay. I would like a decent folder, something about 600 span that'll fold 1mm steel, but probably never going to happen. Thanks, Dan. So that's what I use. It's not ideal. For bending bits of brass that have got an inch stick out on each side and you can clearly mark and it's the middle of the day so you can see everything, it's all right. But for bending anything accurately, 2 blocks of wood and a brass and the vise is kind of what I end up with usually. So there we go. This place is out of chaos. This is probably the best thing I ever bought. Let's see what we can do here while we're here. I was late because I'm missing a joint out of my camera arm. Nope, didn't do that. Sorry. This is all an experiment. Should have worked out camera angles at some point earlier. What else have we got here? We might have something there. We've got that. I think we got it. I think we got it. Look at that. This thing needs oiling every time you use it. There's about 1,000 oil points. I don't know if anyone's really entirely interested in this. There we go. We've got actual lift off. But this is the coolest toy in the workshop. I haven't got anything prepared. I'm really not very good at this. Give me a second. Haven't even got a chuck key. Look, I had 2 chuck keys for this drill press, so they both should be here on the bench together with the drill press. Never find either of them. Didn't mark these or anything, so they're not even straight. But to give you some idea how cool this machine is, right? There's 3 holes tapped out of focus. Let's see if we can focus this. See, that's bomb proof. There's 4 8BA holes. Dan, you're probably right. Hey, Dan, good to see you. Journeyman Randy, good to see you too. So, yeah, this is absolutely a press with a smaller V in it would be a good thing for some things. Vibrating in the machine, yes. This has that like vintage smell. This machine smells like 1946 in a factory. Sorry, I think I'm back. Anyway, this is awesome. Tapping all those tender holes. This is just gold. The thing, this finger needs lowering down on the table so that this doesn't lift back up. But I was actually tapping angle iron with it against a stop, so on a piece of timber. So it's up fairly high at the moment. But awesome machine. That's 8BA, which is 2.2 millimeters, something like that. Someone will correct me, but I think that's about what it is. The motor's the original one off the mill, so it's relatively the same time period. Now, I'm going to put a question out there. Here, see this round belt, right? It's a woven round belt. I think it's not going to last forever. It's starting to come apart. Can't see it any better when it's vibrating, sorry. But this round, it's got to be a round belt because it runs around both pulleys and back onto an idler on the other end. And it's stretching a bit. It's about 3/8, I reckon, 10 mil. 10 mil round belt. If anyone has a source or an idea where I can find that, and in particular how to splice it together when I do find it, give me a heads up. But yeah, the motor's got that like ozone and varnish smell. Yep. Yeah, building companies nowadays are pretty ordinary and pretty useless, to be honest. Even if you take it to them and say, I want one of these, they'll try and sell you a V-belt. And probably a V-belt would sort of work on it, but an A-section or something smaller. But anyway, this is a bit unusual. It does need a new belt because it's done a bit of work in the last couple of weeks. Anyway, the lineages here, we need to do work on making a decent lineage build, like a decent grinder at some point, like all workshops. This is underpowered and too slow. What else we got? We've got a drill press there, which is sort of all right. It's got a modified light. I don't know if you can see that. It's got a desk lamp that's been put on there. And a new motor at some point. Next door's a shaper, which isn't even bolted down yet. We've still got some thoughts about that, whether it's going to go there, or whether this is going to be the actual bench for it before we bolt it down, because there might be another option at some point. This place is just need to put some bolts away before we go much further, to be honest. So, there we go. That's what's happening. Shout out for onside belting. Not sure about that link, Kevin, but I'll have a look a bit later on. Mustn't be getting all those landings. See your pulls off, obviously. Jim's off to work too. Take care. It's tough having to work for a living. I've had to work today and it's sort of cutting into my leisure time, to be honest. I think it just slips off with, so if you let the idler go. I could take it into my transmissions guy and see what they say too. They may have something in stock. Anyway, we've zoomed in there. Ah, there it is. Look at that. Check that out. Woo. Ooh. There's a GoPro mount that I was looking for an hour. Very excellent. So, whatever else is happening, I've got over there sitting on the locomotive is some spring wire. We hope at some point to make some actual springs there. Not sure when. It's a project, but I'd like to get this tank bolted down first. There's a heap of springs for this locomotive that's still needed. Maddie's about to do some editing. That's exciting, because that means a new video from Maddie, and we like that. Try Fender belts. We will Google them. JB's got starter motor service. So obviously, it's not starting as you've taken your belt off and you actually wrapped it around the pulley and you're starting it that way. Is that right, JB? I'll chase that up. Let's see what we can find. It's not crazy complicated, but next time, or important or urgent, but next time I guess next time I want to do a heap of tapping, and it'd be really nice to have it. Give it a tap with a spanner. That always works in the movies and things. Try that. So, these little vents on the back of the tender look something like this, by the way. I've just 3D printed these. I'm not sure they're actually going to look like this, but that's sort of what they should look like. A bit of copper tube in the middle and some sort of a bracket on top and some sort of a dome piece and a flange on the bottom. Bill, when can we expect a video? Bill's got new tech, so obviously he's gearing up to shoot videos, and I believe that he's actually been shooting some footage, so just got to see it all sort of edited together. That doesn't mean much, because I know other people who've been shooting footage and not uploading them for a long time. Not looking at anyone in particular, Dan. What else? I've been going through my rotring pens and tidying them up and finding how many bits I've got missing and how many complete ones I can make from what I've actually got. And it's a bit sad, really. They're all a bit messed around. So, anyone who's familiar with rotring drawing pens, these are nice, but not when they're not working properly. It's a fairly fine one, it's 0.25. Come on, focus. This one was a mess, and these are 2000s, which is, they're kind of vintage now. They all kind of look the same, but they've all got thousands of little differences. The ultrasonic sort of works with pen cleaner. The pen cleaner is really awesome. The rotring. These have been in the ultrasonic. This one's actually about 1,000 times cleaner. This is a mess, actually. It actually rattles now, which is a really good sort of a... So that's good. Now these off here, and a few other little differences. But probably if this is not as good as I would like, because the rubber's gone out of the lid as well. Yeah, it dropped out here, and I'm sorry guys, it's me. So working on a drawing upstairs, it's a bit of a project. It's for a tool making project I started a long time ago and never really made a lot of progress with it. Got some castings made, but trying to draw it out, make some sense of the small 1920s book sketch that I have of it. So it's a work in progress, and it's time. There's a drawing on the board and a lot of like layout marks and things, and quite a few in the wrong spot probably. It dropped out here. Internet dropped out here. Sorry, guys. My fault. So, my boiler is under part 4. No, it's not. It's a copper boiler. Part 4 is a steel boiler. I'm totally going to submit an entry for Toolfest 2021. Kind of onto that, yeah. Probably won't be the one I'm drawing up upstairs, but I've got a couple of really cool projects that I really want to do. Craig, just keep quiet. Don't point things like that out. But that's it, yeah. That's one of them. That's why I have 2, because one of them always migrates back to the bench. Part 3 is for sub-miniature boilers. Yep, that's a pretty useful thing to have, actually, if you're making small boilers. Part 4 is for... This is part 1, anyway, which is for copper boilers. And I'm not sure this is available online. And if you did find it online, that's pretty awesome, but I don't know if it is. This is it, the absolute nightmare that is. We've dropped out again. It's probably possible to make boilers from steel, but not for something this small. Getting a bit fiddly, and putting nice fillets on it so that it actually seals with a welder or TIG or whatever is beyond my ability. This isn't huge. The main boiler barrel here is only 9 inches long. The smoke box is 4 3/4, and this here is 6 7/8 along the firebox, so in inches. So that's, what have we got? 22, see, 172 millimeters along there, and 225 in the middle. The boiler's 4 inches diameter, which is, only in black and white measurements, which is 102 millimeters, something like that. Craig, yes. So these stays are going to go, right? It's got girder stays through it. Have a look. I've actually got an appointment, not this weekend coming, but the one after, to talk to a boiler inspector about this. But, which is pretty exciting. But these girder stays are not up to code, right? So they're going to go, and it's going to be stayed. Take care, John. Good to see you. Going to be stayed something like that with rod stays, which is a bit more up to date, and it allows a little bit more circulation to things like water gauges and things like that, and better convection, stuff like that. So that's probably one of the major improvements here, or design changes, or evolutions in copper boiler making since 1935. So there's a foundation ring around the bottom here, which is solid copper, and I think that's actually a braze joint rather than silver soldered, so that's going to be fun. This firebox here is not huge, so it's only 2 inches across here, and 6 3/4 or something. So it's not huge. It's sort of grates like this. So that's the grate. Boiler tubes, we've got 23/8 tubes and 2 11/16 tubes, or flues, it says. 11/16 by 20 gauge flues, which are probably a bit light, to be honest. I don't think you'll get 20 gauge tube, but I think they're probably going to be 1.6 or 2 mil. Superheater runs through it, which will be one of those fun things. So the regulator pipe will come through from here on the end of this. It comes through to the front bulkhead, and then there's a pipe goes through here. And if we make stainless steel TIG welded superheaters or buy them, we can go right back here to the end of the firebox and get them nice and dry. But copper ones only come to about here, so that the flame doesn't actually melt the copper. And back here, and then back through the bottom here into the locomotive. So that's where we're at. That's the boiler. Most of these bits, that lubricator's done. It needs a new ratchet wheel because I'm not happy with that. But apart from that, it's finished and it works. These connections are all done. So put together a price list on EJ Winter's website, which is probably the dearest place in the world to buy copper, and got to about $800 with copper here. So I've since ordered the tube for the firebox, which is going to be a little bit more complicated than that, because I really don't like the sound of all this like regulator pipes through here and down here, and then blast pipes and delivery pipes and all that sort of stuff inside that front hole that doesn't do anything through for me through the door. So we're going to have two parts here. So a tube with a cutout in it and a lid that actually lifts off or slides out or lifts off, so that you can actually service that without having to work through the door. Tom's in Tasmania. Fridge. You might not get away with that with the boilers at the hospital. But there's a fair bit of like urban myth hanging around in those things too. Yeah, different country. You jump on the American, for instance, Facebook pages and see some of the plumbing and pipe work that are on some of their engines, and you think, holy crap, I'm not standing next to that. It's a bit ordinary, really. Domestic hot water fittings on boilers I'm not particularly happy or confident about. But anyway, this has got to be tip top and precise. There's not a lot of water gap in it anywhere, and it's got a crap load of copper stays that all need to be sealed. I'm fairly confident with building this, really. I don't think there'll be any issues as long as I've got enough heat and I break it down enough into parts and do it in the right order so I can solder all the joints. But got to talk to an inspector about it first and see about plate thicknesses. I think these plates here have got to be 2mm. This one and this one and this one and this one, and probably the wrapper over the top and the middle in the smoke box. So this wrapper and this wrapper has got to be 2mm. These stays are way under, and I won't be using threaded ones. These stays here on top don't work, but there's going to be a girder or a T-say or something in the middle here to stop it bowing upwards. And these stay distances are going to need some modification too, probably. Anyway, take care. Mike from Cornwall, good to see you. But there you go. That's the craziness that is copper boiler making. And that's the next part, really, when we finish the tender. We get that part on. It's starting to look like a locomotive. There's only 20 or so brass fittings and some grates and ash pans and a whole lot of plate work and some boiler mountings and connections and stuff like that to finish. Looking at it, it feels like the boiler is finishing. The boiler is probably about halfway from where we are, or from start to finish. But I think it's a bit further than that. I would like to think we're about halfway now, probably. We might have passed halfway. This is 3.5-inch gauge, so it's not crazy big. Not crazy big. But it's small enough to be fiddly too. there's 1,000 things for grates and things too, whether you use a cast one or whether you use a fabricated one or whether you make it out of welded stainless or whether you bolt it up out of steel or what you do, I don't know. So you've still got to think about that and what happens. There's this crazy bit of gear that's called an ash pan. The middle axle or the end axle goes through the middle of that, which is really got to be great for the works. It's all right if you keep it clean between runs, I think. That's what that cutout's for. And that's all got to fit under there as well and have some method of emptying it out and removing it. There's a regulator, which is a disc, basically a spring-loaded disc on a plate. Your steam comes in here and holds the disc against it. The spring only holds it against it when it's got relief valve, so I think it only holds it against it when it's cold. Stop it falling off, so it actually seals again when you get steam up. And that's got a hole on a slotted plate like this, face of valve, and it's got a pin for limiting in the bottom. So that's an interesting little build, and a handle out the back and a gland there to stop it leaking maybe, and 70 132 holes all the way around here to pick up steam. That goes in this bush here. From the back. I think it's actually got bolts around it, which is going to be fun. And then there's a pipe runs all the way through, which works as a hollow stay or as a stay, as well as another tube all the way through to the top. And then on this end here somewhere, it's got to have some sort of an outlet to go to your superheater. Take care, Randy. So I would like to think I can make a boiler without too much corking, but the code's got all the information about that if we need to. So it's a long and complicated discussion, but basically I know the code reasonably well, I think, now. And all I've got to do is talk to the inspector and say, just sign off on stuff and get a copy of this drawing, which I need to get before next weekend, or the one after, and take it up to him and get some annotations on it, and they can keep a copy and I keep a copy, and we come back and start building it. But anyway, Toolfest 2021, I've got a cool project for that, or a couple of cool projects, but we'll see which one actually makes it. What else? Oh, there's 1,000 projects here anyway. Gonna need some bronze for boiler fittings, that's not a huge deal. Got plenty of it sitting around here anyway. I don't think they were rust sealed when they left the factory. That's kind of where I'm at with it. I think there was probably a little bit more science to it than that. I like to think if I bought a factory boiler with a traction engine on it that was basically the same sort of dollars as a 100-ton crane. Nowadays, as far as capital expenditure, that the boiler was sort of a little bit better than that. Stuart, that's awesome. That's awesome. Anyway, we're getting on a bit. We're sort of dragging on a bit. You're all waiting for me to finish here, and I'm prattling on about copper boilers. So awesome to see you all. Good to catch up and chat and all that sort of stuff. I'm going to call it, I think. I had every intention of unscrewing this tender body after live stream tonight, but it's not going to happen. So take care, everyone who's in lockdown. We're not at the moment, which is really nice. I'm hoping that we're still not by the 5th of September when I've got to go to Warner to the Model Engineer Club and sign up and actually get these boilers signed up, because I'm not actually a member of the club at the moment. So take care. Be kind to each other. More soon. Try and get another boiler out. I didn't show you the subscriber counter because I think we're up to 7,100. I've made it to 7,100. It's taken about 12 months to get from 7,000 to 71, so that's awesome. And check out the Toolfest 2021 video and be there or be square, like I said. And we'll catch you next week, if not before. So I'm out, and thanks everyone again. Take care of yourselves.